Hasn't warmed up yet.
Well, you're not getting notifications?
I don't know. Like, I don't even know.
Signed up last week.
I hope so, yeah. Well, we're doing it.
Oh, okay.
So
So you're not like.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't have the bandwidth at the time, and so like it was kind of like.
Okay, so somebody's
Exciting.
Somebody's taking care of it.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
Thursday?
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. No. Yeah.
Okay. You're being taken care of.
Yeah.
10th birthday? Is it your son's birthday? Yeah, okay, cool. Oh, you guys did? Was it cool? I've never done that before. How many times have you been to like Vegas and stuff? I've never done that. And it's right next to Disney. I think there's one in Scottsdale, I want to say. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
And then there's like final five.
Yeah.
First baby.
Well, the one-on-one,
Yeah.
like, strong start, one-on, haven't happened a lot myself, but gone out with a lot.
Yeah.
So it's your
I just
sister.
think it counts.
They're doing everything.
So, what about you?
Townless.
That you on board with that?
Yeah. Right, and then like, and just like, everything in general right now, it's just like, so good.
Yeah, I ordered a couch in the room. It took like
I did just look at.
I know now.
They keep having the guy we keep trying to meet up, he keeps canceling
There was
on
one
me.
last week, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
when you just go by, and then last time,
How's it going? I'm
Trevor.
Trevor, good to meet you, man. Good to meet you. It's your first time in the office here?
It is,
Right
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
What brought you in? How'd you hear about Heaton Dainard?
And
Fantastic.
yeah,
Fantastic. Not a better way to hear about us.
yeah.
Yeah. So are you a active investor or just want to learn
I
a little bit
am,
more?
yeah. So I do some investing in the Portland area, and I just moved up here last year.
Okay, cool.
Still kind of trying to get into the network here. So
Yeah. You know, you've got the experience, you know what you're doing, but now it's just transferring
I
that
don't know if I
to
necessarily know exactly what I'm doing.
different
but-
location, right?
Yeah. So I did a few years of flipping and buying stuff down there.
Nice.
And then when I moved up here, all my connections and everything are still down there. So it's been very easy for me to just kind of keep doing stuff down there as opposed to just like biting the bullet and actually like building a network here.
Something that's a little bit closer to home.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking forward to getting to know some people. Yeah. Yeah.
We just looked at a place in Green Lake.
You don't know what's over
Right. Like I said, I thought that it was, because I have a few that I do run myself. So I was like,
It's okay.
and I was just like,
Well, we might have a couple more coming in.
a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a light day, because anytime it's sunny out and it's hot, especially the first couple weekends, no one comes in here. So it's,
And the Kraken are playing.
Game 7.
that is true, cracking our thing down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is,
Jimmy, that's a hockey team here.
This is to make ROI.
Tickets are expensive. So maybe.
Yeah, well, I did hear that. Our hockey team's doing good. Well, it's not my hockey team anymore, though.
No, it's not.
I'm a Dutch guy. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Mighty Ducks.
Sorry.
Why not? Sure. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna get going because we got like class. It's nice out. We'll try to not hold you guys hostage too late in here. So introduce myself real quick. I'm James Dainard, one of the founders of Heaton Dainard and Intrust Funding. Well, since we have a small group, I'd actually like to get to know everyone's name. So, what's your name?
My name's Trevor.
Trevor. Okay. What's your background in real estate?
Done a handful of flips, and I have a small rental portfolio that I manage.
Oh, cool. Okay. Where at?
Mostly in Portland, Vancouver area. I'm new to this area.
Got it.
Yeah.
Vancouver's good for tax purposes.
Yeah.
The best tax saving town in the nation, I think. Isn't it?
Vancouver, Washington.
Maybe.
You get no income tax.
And then you
Washington,
drive
and
across
drive
the-
across, you get no sales tax. So it's like the most affordable area in
Yeah.
the nation.
But then you got to live in Vancouver. Is the
You got some water there. But downside. Cool. Where'd you do your flips at? Down there too?
mostly Portland, yeah.
Okay. Well, Seattle's tough, but I heard Portland's even tougher on flips.
Well, that's good news because I'm trying to break into this market. So
Yeah. Oh, where are you from?
Oh, I'm Tracy. I'm actually from Seattle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, very little experience. I just have one short-term vacation rental that just went live like last week. That's it.
Nice, where at?
Sancadia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had one out there way back in the day.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, oh man, I don't know why I did that now. But it's
Goes to ebbs and flows out there.
yeah.
Is it a little slower now?
I don't know. It just went live like last week. It just took forever to like get ready. So I just was like, man, and it ties up so much money.
Was it one of those new builds? The house
Yeah,
or
it was a
condo?
new build. Yeah, so it took like a year, and then it took us like
Because there's what, 5 builders out there for to build
Yeah.
everything? There was 400 sites sold.
yeah, and then all of the snow and ice just delays everything.
Yeah.
It delays all deliveries. It delays hot tubs. It delays like everything. So it just took forever to like kind of even like get ready.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. We'll see.
It's a cool spot. I love
It's beautiful. Yeah.
That's one of the regrets I have is selling this.
What really? Yeah, it's beautiful out there, but I'm sick of it now because I've been up there so much getting
Yeah,
ready.
that's the problem. After about 2.5 years, you get really sick of the
Yeah.
food.
Yeah,
And you're like, there's only so much to do in Cleveland.
yeah.
And so you get it. That's why I sold it. I traded it for a 4-unit in Cleveland.
Oh, so that's probably smarter.
I was like, I'm going back to regular real estate.
Yeah.
So, well, cool. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Apurva. I'm also a real estate agent, but I haven't done any business.
Oh, cool. What brokerage at?
I'm with Cascade Team.
Oh, they're Issaquah, right?
Is-
Yeah, Issaquah, North Bend.
Yes.
They do a good job on their North Bend. They sell a lot of stuff in North Bend.
North Bend. They do North Bend. I'm majorly doing Sammamish area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Totally different business.
Yes.
But it's all housing related. So, well, good. Well, thank you guys for coming out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a presentation. It's really an introduction to our company, how we work, how we underwrite things, the types of investments we sell, and then we walk you through on how we kind of deliver. Because we don't do it in a normal brokerage way. When we started the company, I never started that way. I'm not traditionally a broker. I've been a broker now for 14 years. But when we started, we kind of created our own thing. And then it just did well, and so we kind of, it's not like the normal brokerage. But we like to get deals done. So, cool, we'll give you guys a quick background. So, myself and Will, we've been business partners now since 2005. We got in the business, we were knocking doors for a local investment company. That's how we got in the business. We would go out and bang on foreclosures all day. It was a big investment company, they would buy the deal. And going off that, we went from wholesalers to where we started our own business in 2007, right before subprime mortgages. Well, we actually opened our shop, stocked it with furniture, everything, and subprime mortgages blew up a week later. And the whole real estate market just flatlined. It not only flatlined, it went the opposite way for the next 2 years. And so, the reason I kind of bring up that story is we have been in the market for a long time. We've been in every type of market conditions, and we've always been able to buy, fix up, and resell properties. It doesn't matter what's going on in the property. Now, there's always these times where it gets a little painful for a minute, and then you just kind of keep moving forward. To give you kind of a background of what Will does at the company, so me and him are divide and conquer. We run 6 different businesses out of here, and that is why a lot of investors like working with us. We're not just brokers trying to sell you something, we're active investors. So Will runs Intrust funding, which is our local hard money business. He does a lot of the final approvals on things. Intrust is going to come talk about that. He also does all of our apartment syndications. We have nearly 1,000 doors in the Pacific Northwest. We're constantly renovating apartment units, and then he does our new construction and development. My primary role at companies is I run the brokerage and the sales team, sourcing the on and off market properties, underwriting the assets, coming up the highest and best use. In addition to, I run all of our fix and flip and kind of like our smaller rental properties on the quicker turns. So he does the new builds, I'm doing the one tearing apart the houses. And so the good thing about that, we can divide and conquer, we can scale and grow up. But the 2 managing principles at all these businesses were active. And the reason I bring that up is anything that we sell you guys or offer to sell you as an investment, we have done ourselves or are actively doing. We do not sell any investments that we don't have the skill set for or can't give you guys a detailed plan If someone came in and said, I want to buy industrial space, I'm probably going to refer it to a broker I know really well. Because our whole thing is, this is a niche business. You got to be really good at what you're doing. You got to understand it really well. And if we can't deliver that service, our clients aren't going to do well. So all the stuff we talk about, we're actively doing right now. So background on me, I've been in the business now for 18 years. I started when I was a senior in college working for that investment company. We started buying. We were wholesalers for the first couple of years. We started buying and flipping. We learned a lot of hard lessons in 2008, got rocked, and then we had to restart. 2008 to 2010, there was not a lot of people flipping houses. Actually, in 2008, there was barely anybody out there. We were able to find a lot of good deals, and no one would buy them, so we started becoming the buyers. And we would fund deals. We started fixing them all up. And how we started our brokerage about 12 years ago was we had all this deal flow, but no one in the business wanted to buy real estate. 2008 to 10 was like this terrible time to where it's like you would have this house and you could have it for $1 and you're like, get that house away from me. You had this terrible stench about real estate. And so we founded our business, which we're going to talk about, all on customer service and mitigating risk for people. So it wasn't just good enough to go find that good deal. We had to show people on how to execute that deal. So we would source it, we would line up the money for it, we would help them all the way through the process on renovating because it was a scary thing for people. And then we would do the listing for them on the back end. And we became this full service real estate brokerage that there's not a lot of people out there that do what we do. And we had to do it because no one wanted to buy it. And so luckily for everybody that comes in now, the amount of over service we had to do is still what we do today. And so it's all about helping that investor, whether you're new, you have experience or new to the market, and getting you help with your systems, getting you trained up as you go through that process with our team, because we want to create really good investors for the long term. The more we train you guys and teach you guys, the better you are as buyers. And so our whole business is built on customer service. So since founding our brokerage, though, this is actually the wrong slide. So we have done over $1 billion in sales with investors just like you. We're very, very active. Oh, there we go. We have listed it. We've been involved in over 3,500 transactions with investors just like you, whether that's sourcing or dispoing out. And so we're very, very active. Our brokerage does not do anything but this investment platform. We don't go out and show people houses. We don't go market for buyers. We are here to help investors execute. And one thing that we've gotten really good, and is included in our listing service, is not only are we brokers that source deals, help you underwrite them, we've gotten very talented with designing properties for affordable budgets. So all of everybody on our team on the listing side is going to actually help you. We're not just brokers, we're designers, and we're going to help you design your property and get you those resources to help you execute in a very good way. All right, so what we do is we source on and off market investment properties. We don't care where it comes from. Our job is to find our client a discounted asset. And that could be a fix and flip property, a development site, it could be a multifamily, whatever they're looking for, but we're going to find it under market for you guys. We want you guys walking into margin immediately, because that's how you change everything in your business platform. Going out and paying retail for stuff is not going to grow you very fast. So we get properties that are value add. Once we find that property, we're going to run the property analysis, and that's where we're going to run highest and best use. We're going to give a plan to this property that we feel is highest and best use. That doesn't mean that's what our investors do every time. There's been plenty of properties I've sold with flip game plans on them, and the client just knocks it down and builds a new house. Or vice versa. We're like, hey, we think you should build it, and they fix the house. So, but as brokers, we're always going to give you what we think, or basically the highest and best use is how I would do the property. Like, if I'm buying this is what I'm doing. And we'll talk about how we kind of lay that out. And then we're going to help you. This is where we're a little different from other brokers as well. It's on the execution. We're not going to run the project for you. We're not going to be picking up the hammer. We're not going to be calling the contractors. But we're going to be able to be available for you guys, walking your job sites, going over floor plans, picking out materials, referring you to designers that can get you, or not designers, supply shops that are going to be able to get you the materials down. We're going to help you execute that plan. In addition to every time we sell you property, we're going to give you a detailed plan on like what paint colors to put on the house, what tile to put on the house, countertops, and so forth. So we make it very turnkey for you if you want it at that point. You guys have any questions so far? Okay.
I have
By
one.
any-
What's in it for you except for the brokerage fees that you're getting? Is there additional things, or are you is brokerage fee? Sorry, I don't mean to ask it in a bad way.
Oh, no, you're good. How do we make money?
Yeah.
Valid question to ask anybody. How you make it, how you fleecing me? No, yeah, so what we do is we make it on, there's a couple ways we get paid, right? We get paid when we sell you the property. That could be through a wholesale fee or a brokerage, it depends on where the deal comes from at that point. We get paid the listing fee at the end, and then, added services. Well, the main reason we offer so much services is because we want to keep you as a client. Because what I have learned over time is if you give people a plan and then you don't check on them, they can kind of go into left field. And then if they go into left field, that usually comes with a heavy loss in there, and then they're not going to be a client anymore. Our clients need to have capital, and so that was why we built the business the way it was. We had to retain clients. The amount of investors in 2008 to 10 was a very, very small pool. And so we had to get them better as investors and show them what we were doing, but then also retain them. But other ways that we do make money, if you borrow hard money, when you're buying the property, we usually get the loan on that. And so those are like the three main ways that we'll recognize the deal at that point.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But we have no problem talking about fees, and you should always, and if anybody ever does, go away from them. It's like, you're getting paid, so what is it? So the services that we offer every one of our clients is we're going to find acquisition and purchasing. We're going to talk about that in a second. We're always going to run you underwriting. We're never just going to send you a listing and say, hey, does this look interesting? Or I think this is a good buy. That creates no value, right? So we're always going to take it for a full underwriting process before we send it to you. We have contractors referrals in the local market. So we're going to talk about Ryan, our client service manager, in a second. We're constantly finding new contractors, vetting them, talking to them, interviewing them, putting them on a vendor sheet so people use them as resources. And then in addition to, we have financing referrals, whether that's for commercial lenders to get you taken out with like portfolio lender, single family, just residential burst style loans. We work with a bench of brokers, and we don't get paid any referrals by them. It's only because we vet them to make sure that they understand your guys' business. Your guys' business is buying an asset, improving it, reappraising it in a very short amount of time, which is very confusing for a lot of banks. And we want to bypass all of those issues. So the people that we're referring out understand what you guys are doing and will prevent less hiccups for you guys down the road. And then included in our services is every time you list with us, we will give you a free design consultation. Our brokers, and we'll talk about that in a second, what they offer, but you're always going to get spec sheets, color. Like if you have no design skill, I don't have that much design skill. My team has really good design skill. I've renovated a ton of properties, but if I do them, they're all going to look exactly the same. That's how I renovated all my homes. It was templates. I had to get them done. Now my team is so much better than me that they design every house for me. So they will do the same thing for you guys as well. So now that we talked about service, let's talk about getting started. So the first thing is, and I want to talk about this before we dive into our presentation, is building your team. And this is a main thing that a lot of people like to skip. Just because you're in this room doesn't mean you're going to go buy something tomorrow. Now, if you're ready to buy, we're going to find you that deal and get you into it. But a lot of times you guys are at the starting point right now. And that's, I'm interested in buying real estate investing, whether it's buy, hold, fix, and flip, you want to get that going. So for you guys to do that, you need to start building your team. The team, how we have done so well in this market isn't because we have cash sitting there, it's because we're constantly finding new resources. The more resources we have, the more we can execute on different types of properties. The more resources I have, I can execute over other people, which then makes me have less competition and gives me a better deal. So the bigger team you have, the more you're going to be able to execute. It is all in the execution with fix and flip properties or bursts. So you need to have 2 reliable contractors, 2 reliable subcontractors. You need to have at least 1 hard money lender on your bench. I would say at least 2, or get 2. You need a conventional lender and a commercial lender. The reason being, you always want to be pre-qualified. Even if you're going, hey, James, I'm coming in to flip, you always want to have that extra backup plan. Because if you're not bankable, because some of us aren't, right? If you're self-employed and you write a lot of stuff off, which a lot of people do, it can be hard to get a bank loan. That's going to tell you what kind of deal to get into. If I know I can't refinance a building, I'm gonna make sure there's a certain margin in there, just in case something goes bad, that I'm not stuck with it and I can't get out of it. And so what this does is it mitigates your risk and gives you extra strategies at that time. So that's the first thing you guys need to do, start working on that bench, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. You don't need to go find those people tomorrow, but as you're going to meet up groups and you're talking to people, start asking those questions. Oh, if you meet an investor or a group, oh, hey, what general contractors do you use? What plumbers have you used? What electricians? Just start, as long as you know it's there, you always ask the question, and then you can start building that resource list. The next thing you also need to do is get pre-qualified, because if you are getting ready to go into this market, the worst thing you can do is not have money available when a home run crosses your plate. You will lose more money not being prepared to execute on a deal than you will buying the wrong deal. And so having a quick decision is what pre-qualification is going to make it for you. So if you get pre-qualified, the first priority is don't miss the good deal. The next step, you need a good deal, the right pre-qual is going to get you to where you make a good decision. Then you want to get qualified, guys, with 2 lenders. Again, hard money, you have to have it. If you're getting a good buy, typically the property's not bankable. You're going to need to take out expensive debt. The other reason is if you don't have a hard money lender, you can get all your liquidity can get in your cash can get stuck in one project. Construction lenders and hard money lenders allow you to lever more, and they allow you to get construction financing in there. And so you could buy a deal, eats up all your cash, and then a home run comes across your plate, but you didn't set it up right, and you can't execute on it, and you're like, why did I buy this one when this one's right here? Or if you set it up right with hard money, you can buy both if you need to. And so you won't miss that good deal. So get qualified with hard money. And then the next thing is always get qualified for bank financing. The other reason you want qualified with bank financing, there's nothing better than going to your hard money lender and saying, I'm bankable. If you're bankable with a regular bank, a hard money lender is going to be a little bit more flexible with you because there's an extra exit in there. They might give you a little bit less on the down payment. They might give you a little bit better terms. So it's going to save you money and reduce your risk. So definitely get those 2 things pre-qualified. All right, so now that we kind of went over the basics, we're going to talk about just getting right into finding your fix and flip deal as priority. We're going to walk you through that process of how we do the deals, how we deliver it to you, and how we underwrite them. Any questions so far? Cool. What's your name? We haven't got that one yet.
Mo.
Mo?
Sorry, came in a little late.
No, all good.
Yeah.
We already introduced each other, so now I feel singled out. So we have Mo and then
Roman.
Cool. Nice to meet you, Chase. We were saying we have a smaller group tonight because it's hot out. People are getting their tan on. So
That was my second option.
I wish we were all doing that option right now. But all right, so you guys, how our brokerage set up is we have different teams that service our clients. The reason we have teams set up that sell specific types of assets is because we don't want to just give you a broker that's not a specialist at a certain type of thing. Our teams are set up a certain way. This is not like a normal brokerage. We have 4 brokers that are a fix and flip broker, and Ann's joining the team very soon too as the 5th. So these brokers have been gone through a training program. They're working with me, and they're underwriting. They're looking for a specific type of investment. They look in Kingstone, which is Pierce County. The reason we set up our teams that way is I don't want someone that's like, if they're going out and they're selling rental properties all day long and then they find a good fix and flip, they're trying to bring it to you and package it up, right? They're not going to know the inner details. Many of these brokers that have worked with us, like John Whitney has worked with me for 12 years. He's probably sold over 500 fix and flip properties with me. He's not only just sold them, he's been with the clients all the way through the issues. He's worked through all this. He has the experience to help you guys through. Dom's been with us how long?
7 years.
7 years. So I think the least, like all of our brokers have been with us now. Ann's joining, but she has a background in all this too. They all have years of experience in sourcing these properties. You want that specialty item. It's going to get you a better deal. So on our fix and flip team, we have a combination of 4 plus Ann that's coming in with 5, and they are constantly looking for deal flow, off market, on market, and they're doing all the underwriting up front. We're going to talk about how we write these, but we're usually going up front. We don't call you to go look at a property. We are trying to get offers out the door and secure this deal before anyone else can even get to it. Because the problem is if we bring a client out and they don't like it for whatever reason, it can jeopardize an actual good deal. And so they're underwriting to know where the margin is, how much profitability is, and we're trying to lock that deal up right away before the market spins it up. I know the market's a little flat right now, but for good deals, it is not flat. How many multiple offers are you in right now?
4.
Right now?
Yeah, right now this week.
you gotta move. And so that's kind of why the reason we do it, right? Like there is, if a deal's a deal, it doesn't matter what's going on in the market. And so we have the acquisition team, and then our listing team they take over. So once you work with the acquisition team, they sell you the property, it's then handed over to our listing team. The listing team are the ones that are gonna make it look pretty. So every one of these listing brokers, not only have they been selling with us for years, they have worked on every one of my flip, or every one of them has worked on one of my flip projects. So they understand how I run my job sites, budgeting, costs. So it's not like your normal broker who's gonna run you a CMA and say, hey, I'm gonna sell this property for you. They're gonna go, hey, I'm gonna run you a CMA, and if you guys are talking about upgrading, we're gonna check those numbers. Can they get more money for the property? If they can't, it's a no-go, or that's gonna be at least our recommendation. And so they're different from your normal brokers because they're looking at money in, is that gonna improve value? Sell it off that way. So they have an investment background. And they will work with you guys all the way through the process with paint. Like if you guys get your preloaded paint colors and you don't like them, go pick in more paint colors. Or maybe we have picked out tile and you're like, I don't really like that one, go down to the tile shop. They will go down with you to the tile shop, walk through it, making sure you're not picking out too expensive of stuff, and then implementing that plan. So it's an extra resource for you. In addition to, this listing team is gonna be with you the whole process through. So once you buy the property, that's not normal for a listing broker, is to start checking on you all the time. They're gonna be with you for that 6 months of that project. So it's not just when they sell it, they're gonna be walking through and help you to put it together. In addition to, we have a full support staff with 3 transaction coordinators and an assistant, and then most importantly for everybody, especially for the new, we have a client service manager, which most brokers just don't have. So what Ryan's job is, and Ryan has worked for me for 14 years. He's been a project manager of mine. He's worked on all sorts of my job sites. He's working on a couple right now for me, helping out with a couple things. He is there to help you guys during the construction, because once you buy the deal, it is time to execute. And as you're newer, like, you're an experienced investor, but you're in a new market, right? New markets bring different problems, different resources. He's there to help you guys mitigate those. So he's gonna be giving you the referrals to the contractors. If your general contractor that you found is giving you a $20,000 roof bid and we think it's high, he's gonna get you 3 more roof bids, referrals. And so he's gonna get you those referrals to help drive those costs down. In addition to, he is there if you ever have let's say you tear open a wall and the general's like, it's $5,000 to put this beam in. You would call Ryan, him and the listing broker would come down, meet with you and go, hey, does this look like $5,000? He's like, no, that's a $700 beam. This should cost this much. So he's going to spot check pricing, tell you how to negotiate it. And if the guy won't flex, he'll get you a referral to someone that can drive the price down. So he's there to help you guys control costs. So, and with this team, this is what we tell everyone is our advantage. So Heaton Dainard, we say experience our advantage. And the advantage is we're not just salespeople, we're gonna help you execute. So our goal is to provide you with the tools and you need to be a successful and extensive resource to guide you from start to finish and let you execute. So we are not gonna run your job sites, we're not gonna be doing the construction, but we're there for guidance at any time. It can meet you at the site at any time. We wanna teach you. The more you learn now, the more you're going to be able to execute later. That's going to get you to retirement and financial freedom substantially faster. So, all right, and then part of our advantage, when you work with us as a brokerage, our acquisitions are a lot different than most. Again, traditional brokers typically going to send you a listing, say, hey, I think we need to be at this buy price, or what do you think of this? And you go out and look at it, right? That can end up eating a lot of time. I know I've gone and looked at 20, 30 homes probably in the last 2 weeks that I got none. We bought 0 of those. I do this full time so I can go out and look at properties. But like if you have a full-time job and you have to stop what you're doing, drive out there, look at it, it's not for you, drive back, that's a waste of time. That's a waste of money at that point. That's wasting your time where you can build out whatever income streams you're already working on. Our acquisition team is gonna send you actual opportunities. Everything is secured by contract with a price that you can buy it right now. And we're going to talk about how we lay that out. Pricing is fixed. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go down. We've had multiple offers on projects before, but we work on a purely first come, first serve, this taking it. The only time we've had something bid up is when another client bought out the client for his rights. We had a guy come in, he's like, I'll take it, gave us the check. The next guy came, he's like, I wanted this house. We're like, well, dude, sorry. He knew the game. And then he looked at our client and said, I'll give you $10,000 to walk away from it. He just made $10,000 off the check. And he took the deal, and he ended up crushing it too. You know him, Fong.
Who?
Fong?
Oh, yeah.
Big flipper.
That is a big flipper.
Big flipper. He wanted that deal. So pricing's fixed, and then analysis overview. And then you guys, the other reason it doesn't go down is because if none of our clients buy it, I buy it. We're so comfortable with our numbers, we put our money where our mouth is. And then you might get an email from us saying, hey guys, everyone passed on this. This is what happened. So, and that's important. We won't be selling anything that we're not comfortable buying ourselves. And then not only are you going to have actual opportunities, fixed pricing, you're going to get analysis overview. So what does that mean? So every time you get a deal, you're going to get walkthrough notes. You're going to get detailed pro forma, breaking down the financial performance of the property, calculate your soft costs, hard costs, and giving you your actual profits. You're going to get detailed exit strategy and rehab plans with specs, how we came up with the budget, what details need to go in, allowances in there. We'll talk about that in a second. And then we're going to always give you a CMA comparables of how we're coming up with our values for the exit. Our listing service is, again, and I've talked a lot about this already, they're design, budgeted, trained. They're up to date on market. They're going to give you up to date market updates. So every time you buy a property from us, they're going to be checking in you with the values. If it goes up or down, we're going to be calling you, sending you an email with the comps and going, hey, either we need to pause and scale this back, which we had to do a lot of the last 6 months, or no, the values are going up, we need to increase this at this point. And so they're going to give you that extra pair of eyes on there. Our brokers are available to do a weekly job site walk with you whenever you want. They'll walk it with you. You get access to the client service manager. And then again, they'll be able to do a CMA comparables for you at any time. So let's dive into how do we then deliver out the deals. Interesting. I think they have a long presentation about it. But that's okay, because it delivers the same message. So let's talk about how you guys deliver them. So how does that work? So you guys come in, after this presentation, you're going to fill out a survey. In that survey, if you want us to contact you again, Max, our concierge, is going to reach out to you, get you in for a one-on-one, get you kind of through the process. If you don't, just write no, we won't ever call you in. But how you get the deal flow is by saying yes. And so then once you get that, you're going to get phone calls and emails on specific types of opportunities. They're always going to be laid out kind of in this way at this point. So first thing is you're going to get an email with a snapshot. It's going to say what it is. Cheap 700 square foot house in Everett with a big budget. There's a huge trash out. House has to be fully put together, studs down, reno. Right? This is probably one of the worst houses that we'll be sending you guys. They range anywhere between cosmetic, paint, and carpet to all the way to this. These are the better deals. That works out. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to look at this, and our point of this email, guys, is to save you guys time. So we're not going to be hiding information. You're going to go through, and our goal is to get you guys through this and go, okay, yes, I want to move forward, or no, this isn't the right one with me. Typically, 99% of the time, someone gets this email, they look through it, and they do their first walkthrough. They're the buyer on the property. That's how detailed we try to lay it out. So as you go through, these are the most important part. The first thing is we price. You'll get this email. It's going to have a little blurb on what it is, where the neighborhood is, kind of rough details on it. And then we're going to say, hey, this is the price line. Acquisition was at $230,000. Estimated fix-up was at $100,000. Estimated ARV at $425,000. So we have our buy price, what we think fix-up is, and what the value is. And then estimated profit of $40,000 after hard money. Those are all great. Those are snapshots, but those don't tell you what to do, really. So then you want to click through the rest of the link. And the next clicks are going to be a pro forma, comps, and pictures from the property. So once you kind of see the details, you want to then click the link with photos. The worse the property, the more photos that we're going to have in there. We want you guys to see all the bad things on the house because, again, we don't want you to have to drive up to Everett and be like, this isn't what I was looking for. So as you can see, it's completely hammered, roof shot, window shot. This is just a good quarter house in general. You need a full gut. So once you go through all the photos, you're going, okay, this is in my skill set or it's not, then you want to move on to the next phase. If you guys are looking at a property and you're like, I have no idea what to do here, and I don't really have the general, don't buy that deal. Because you can buy the best deal in the world, but if you don't know how to execute on it, you're going to lose money. So we're gonna get you there in phases. So if that one looks too intimidating, I get it, but if you're like, this is right up my alley because it's cheap and I'll figure it out, then you click on the next thing. So after you click the photo link, then you're gonna click into the financial performance. So at this point, this is gonna break down 3 different scenarios that we know that you can do right now to close. The first one is gonna be all cash. So we got the buy price in at 230, we have a fix up at 100,000 and an ARV at 425. The estimated hold time on this is wrong. Sorry guys, old presentation. We would typically factor in with what this box is gonna do, this is gonna tell you how long you have to hold your hard money for. It's gonna calculate every payment during that time. Okay? Typically, how we run every pro forma is on a cosmetic, we run it at 6 months. So that factors 6 months of hard money payments inside that deal. The average for almost every one of our clients is 6.1 months on a cosmetic more style term. If it needs a little bit more permits like electrical and plumbing, we run it at 9 months. And if it's a full studs down renovation, we run it at 12 months. Depending on your crews, you can kind of move those numbers around. Like if your guys are fast, you might want to bring it down. If they're slow, you can add it off from there. And then this is going to break it into 3 different scenarios. The first one's cash, which you're paying $230 for. You put $100K in, project cost of $330, sale price. It's going to back down all the cost on it. That's your real estate commissions, your excise tax, title, escrow fees at that point. So this is going to calculate, you bought this property for $230, you put $100 in, you sell $425, it's going to back out the miscellaneous, that's property taxes, all your costs. Your net profit on that is $58,164, which would be a 17% return deal, which is fairly good for a fixer. We're usually targeting around like 17 to 20% with no leverage in there. We do have a big chunk of clients that do just pay all cash. I would say 70% of our clients use Intrust funding to either do a purchase loan or construction loan. Out of that 70%, 95% of people use a construction loan, the next thing we're gonna talk about. The reason being is our jobs as investors is to work capital. So if I'm sitting on 200 grand, I wanna maximize that. And by getting more leverage on a deal, that's in a construction loan, that's gonna free up capital, it's gonna increase my cash on cash return. And so that's really, really key when you're looking at things. So this box here is on the construction basis. So what this does is it calculates the $230,000 purchase price, rehab cost at $100,000, total project cost at $330. This factors a 15% down because it was a really low loan to value. So depending on the deal, it can be 15 to 25% down, depending on what it is. Typically, it's 15 to 20% down on a deal. If it's 25%, it might be a tight cosmetic deal that someone just likes as a quick turn. So better the deal, a little bit less down payment. This is then gonna factor in your down payment. So to do this deal, I need to come up with $330,000. With hard money, I gotta come up with a down payment of $50,000 instead. I'm gonna bring in the $50,000 and then Intrust funding is gonna roll this $100,000 into this loan and they're gonna start drawing it over time. With this period, the draws are gonna be broken up into probably 5 to 6 draws. But on funding, when I come in with $50,000 down, they're gonna be cutting me a check for probably 20 grand to get going. So my true cost out of pocket on this to get into this deal is $30K with leverage. So then from there, it's gonna factor in your points, your hold time based on that right there, your miscellaneous and expenses, and then this is gonna kick out your profit. So your profit, because you're using hard money, now went from 58,000 down to 40,000. So you lost roughly 20% because the cost of hard money is 2 points and 12%. And so we have to factor that all in the deal. But the biggest thing is, and this is how we've scaled our whole business, is optimizing cash, right? Like as investors, we're trying to get to financial freedom. To get to financial freedom, you kind of need a bucket full of cash. The cash is gonna, you can make a certain amount of return on your cash, that's gonna pay for your lifestyle. So you gotta grow that bucket. That's what flipping's for. So on this deal, if I was to pay cash for this, if I was sitting on there, I'm gonna need $330,000. That's gonna give me a 17% return deal, that's a good deal. But with this scenario here, once I factor in leverage, I only need $63,000 to do the deal, which is gonna give me a $40,000 return. So my return goes from 17 to 63% because I'm levering right. And not only that, if I wanted to, I could do 4 of these deals at one time instead of 1. And if I'm doing 4 over that time period, I'm making $120,000, whereas I'd only make $58,000 in cash. Now this all comes with steps. If you're a brand new investor, you don't go out and go buy 4 properties. That is a terrible idea. It will not go well for you. It's just, I highly advise don't do that. But as you kind of get through steps, so if you were as an investor, this is gonna kind of help you work through all the scenarios. So most of us aren't sitting on 335 grand at a time, so this performance is gonna tell you what kind of cash you need to be. When I'm looking at buying a deal, I'm going, okay, I'm actually more concerned about this. I need to come up with $63,000 or $100,000 at the time. What's gonna be my return? Can I sit there comfortably? I'm good. That means capital-wise, I can do this deal. The next thing I do is, do I have the resource to fix this in a timely fashion? And so this is gonna tell me, this is the first thing I always look at on performance. How much money do I need to do this deal? I'm not even really looking at profit half the time. I'm just going, how much do I need? What's that return? Because at the end of the day, I've allocated a certain amount of money to do fix and flip with, and I gotta keep that money working. And either I might be overspent, I won't have the money, or I will, and then is it gonna hit my thresholds at that point? You guys have any questions on this right here?
Is this a wholesale property, or, because I think, wouldn't you also have closing costs on both sides?
Oh, that's garbage from those wholesalers. Yeah, you guys, we can address that real quick. So what wholesalers are doing now, and this is not how the business works, but the new guys do it this way. They go, hey, you can buy this property for 300 grand and you gotta pay seller's closing costs. The point of wholesaling is you calculate all the costs first and then you go, hey client, this is what your total acquisition fee is. So our fees will always be calculated on that number. I know it's, the kids like broke the model last 2 years. So I'm like, you guys, this is how this works. The price isn't this, there's 3% more in closing costs. So all of our fees will always be in there. The only thing that's not in there is your title insurance policy for lending. We don't know if someone's doing cash or not, but every other closing cost will be factored in that deal.
So you have also mentioned in the cash purchase that there will be a 6% commission. That commission piece is only the seller's one, or does it include buyers? Because seller itself pays for buyer and seller agent, right?
Yeah, we factor 6% commissions.
That is including 3. Okay.
Yeah.
And also in case, like you mentioned in one of the conversation where you mentioned it could be fix or flip or buy and hold.
Yep.
So in that case, how does it work? Because there will not be any commission involved if somebody does buy and hold.
There isn't. So, and that's a good question. At the end of the day, if an investor goes, I'm gonna buy this, but I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah.
We're not gonna not sell you the deal. It does come with a 3-year agreement though. If you sell it anytime during that 3 years, you gotta sell it with us.
Right.
But that's, so for you, because what that is, the good thing about this Performa, and we have other Performas that we're gonna be sending out to everybody very, very soon. We're actually have like a BRRRR calculator, a DADU calculator, a buy and hold. But you won't need to factor that in. That's gonna actually just tell you your loan to value for your BRRRR, right? Because on a BRRRR, you can take it up to 70, 75%, depending on who you are as an investor. So if you're at 60, if your discount to market, because roughly this is always gonna be about 10%. So it's kind of like, all right, I'm already at 90%. Once you have margin here, this is like a you would you'd be able to refi most of it out. But yes, you are allowed. If we're marketing as a fix and flip, then the first person that comes to the door goes, I want it, but I decide I don't want to keep it. We're not gonna make you pay us commission.
And I think somewhere I heard about the 1031 where you buy and hold it for 1 year and then you sell it because you want to save the taxes.
1031 exchange.
1031 exchange. So in that case, what happens? Like there is a commission because that will be like 3 years. You will be taking care of that.
Yep.
But that 1031 is applicable only for 1 year, or can that be done after 3 years, 2 years? Anytime.
You just have to keep it for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it anytime after that point.
Okay.
But once you sell it, you have 45 days to identify a new property, and you got to close within 5 months.
Okay.
And we have a full department that does that for people.
Okay.
We'll talk about Jen in a second. She does a lot. I'm glad you brought that up. I just 1031 exchanging right now. I just secured my property like an hour before this. That I was looking.
Okay.
So what we would do for all of our clients, because we understand 1031 exchanging.
Yeah.
We would meet with you, get you set up at a 1031 exchange, and go, okay, first thing is we want to figure out what do you have, and we do like a little program for everybody, and we'll talk about that in a couple slides. Maybe I'll wait until then, but we'll walk you through that whole scenario. But yeah, it's the best way you can grow your portfolio platform. Yeah, so you guys, the performer is going to tell you what the profitability is, what kind of capital you need for it. And then after you go through the performance, you look through the photos, you go, I like the price, I like the house I can fix, I like the numbers on it. Then we're going to give you, paired up with our budget, we're going to need kind of two things. So the first thing is going to be our design sheet. This is what they all look like. So you're going to get a detailed spec list of like, hey, we think the property needs to look this way to get this pricing. It's going to give you types of cabinets, countertops, handle pulls, appliances, everything is spec'd out for you. Now, you do not have to use a spec sheet. You can throw it in the garbage, but we're here to provide it for you. So it would be like where to get the appliances from, what spec to call for, and then we can make adjustments based on that. So once you have the design sheet, the next thing is then we break down how do we come up with a construction cost, because that's usually people's biggest gripes about wholesalers and investment companies. Like, well, you threw this number on the rehab, but how did you come up with that number? You know, most times it's about 40-50% too low, right? So what we use is we use a budget calculator we're going to walk through. It's off historical rates, it blended with my rates and what our clients are telling us right now. So we use rough calculations of cost based on historicals, what we're paying now. We've had to constantly be on this with inflation. We probably have rebuilt it. We usually do it once a year. We've been doing it like once a quarter right now, just to keep up with things. Luckily, things are coming down right now, which is good. So it's going to give you a rough calculation cost. The budgets are all established based on historical rates, and they're broken down by allowances and install rates. That's the most logical way that we can do it. You got to put in a fixture. They charge you $50 to put it in. This is what the fixture costs. And here's the spec for the fixture. And so that's how we come up with our numbers. All investors need to verify their own costs, though. My costs are going to be different than yours, right? Like our Pierce County investors. If I go down to Pierce County, I'm going to spend probably 25% more than my clients down there because my guys are from up here. We do a certain type of renovation. If I go down there, it's a different ball game. Our Pierce County guys will be, they have cheaper resources, but if they came up to Tacoma, or Seattle, their guys might not be able to put the right finished product on it, right? So there's kind of a balance on it. All investors need to adjust this accordingly, right? So like if you go through a house, we have the budget, you bring your general with you, you're gonna be able to provide them with this sheet too, going here, this is how they come up with their budget. And then they can kind of go line by line. So how we do it, and we just pull like a little snapshot of it. This isn't the best one, sorry. The other one, guys, has it broken down by electrical, but so right here, we have demo, full interior demo. We had if you're just taking everything out, we run at $2.50 a square foot. It's kind of a ballpark. In addition to, we had $15,000 in for this house for just trash out. We were like, well, it's going to be roughly about 9 dumpsters. It's about $1,800 a dumpster, and we kind of ballpark those things. With electrical, we break it down with like panel, $2,500. Every fixture that goes in, they charge us $50 per fixture for the install. Here's the fixture that we're referring you at, $35. Stay under that. And we run Romax at like $3 a square foot for just the rough end. We run our trim out at $2 a square foot. So it's all listed for you guys because investors, one of the things that I see people get smoked on, and I mean, this is what happened to me, is if you don't know what the costs are or a rough budget, when your general's telling you, you're kind of like, all right, I think this is what the costs are. You have to kind of go with it. We're breaking it down for you guys. Like, hey, an electrician typically will charge you $50 to put this fixture in. And so you can actually walk them through like, hey, I know let's say they're over budget. I can walk through my electrician and be like, hey, I just want to confirm some pricing with you. A new panel is $2,500, right? Yes. You charge me $50 to install each fixture, right? Yes. $3 per square foot to install my Rolex? Yes. $2 for my trim out? Yes. Why am I over budget? And either they come right down to my pricing or they give me a list of stuff that I didn't have on there for whatever reason. And so it makes it a very logical, and this business, you guys, just like any business, it has to be done on logic. It can't be this give and take. Like Microsoft doesn't call up a supplier in China for parts and just throw out a random number, right? And then that guy counters, and then they just get to the middle But then Microsoft still know, like, it's like they know what their costs are and what they can pay, right? You have to do the same thing with this business. So, once you go through the budget, you're saying this is reasonable, I checked with my contractor, then we're gonna give you our comps. All of our comparables, especially in this last market, because the market's kind of moving around right now, we're staying very, very tight. We're putting most of our emphasis on pending transactions, activity, what showings are, and then we're only going back 3 to 4 months usually for our comparables, or we will go back 6 months right now, but we wanna make sure that the rate's higher at that time, or at the same, or we throw the comps out. So we really are breaking down the timing, what the rate was, and if there's a difference in rate, we're either adjusting down or adjusting up. Does that all make sense? And not only that, we're gonna provide you with the comparables, you're gonna be able to pull them up where the location is and go through every photo, so you can see what we're designing. So after, it turned out pretty good though, same house. So she got done, this way, and you know what, this was a pretty new investor that did this. She wanted it, and we actually tried to talk her out of it, she's like, this is a really big project, she's like, it's so cheap, I want it. And you know, and we had a big budget, right? She thought it was low risk. We thought it was a little higher risk because of the amount of work, but she's like, well, I have $100,000 and it's only 700 square feet. That's $130 a foot. That's pretty reasonable to renovate a house. And so it worked out well for her, and she did a great job. So she hit all the basics. We helped her design the whole thing. We did not tell her to do this because we're not big fans of this, but she liked it.
This was in Everett.
This was in Everett, yeah. Good yard, great yard. And then what happened on this deal? There's just the reason why we took this out, because you guys, this isn't that realistic, but this is actually what happened. So client got an email with those numbers on it. She put 230, and that's right, she spent 30K more on this property. She put 130,000 instead of 100 into it. She ended up going, she ended up fencing all the property around, doing some extra work all the way through. 30K in upgrades throughout the house, because we were targeting a little bit lower. We had a value of 425 on it. She put the 130 in, she sold it for 550. And her cash on cash return ended up being, well, she kind of traded it out a little bit, so she put an extra 30K in, but she got an extra $75,000 in value. That is not normal, guys. That was more in the appreciating market. But typically, what we're going to be selling you, these are very solid numbers. These are deals that we had just closed out recently, right? So these are realistic. Client paid in Tacoma, 410 for the renovation. They put 130,000, or 410 for the property, put 130 in, sold it for 800. Another one in Mukilteo, this was another big fixer, 380. They put 105 in and sold it for 650. This one was in Ravenna, where they paid 850,000. They put $250,000 renovation and sold it for 145 roughly. And then this is that Everett one with those numbers. So these are going to be kind of the numbers that we're targeting. We are typically going for a fix and flip property, 15 to 16% for a normal project. We're going for about 20 to 21% on bigger fixers, which equate out to usually about a 40 to 50% cash on cash return when you put in leverage. So that typically, if we're calling on everything, we're going to be looking 40, 50% cash on cash within a 6-month period. That's our target goal. We know that's reasonable. We know that's where we can transact at. We know it's also like a good profit margin. That is our goal. If it doesn't hit those standards, we're usually kicking it out of our office. Any questions on the fix and flip? Yeah.
So as a new real estate investor, I've not done any fix and flip, what is your recommendation? Where should I start?
I would say, well, the first thing you want to do is find a flip that you can also qualify for. So I'd say stick to low risk. Low risk flips, you guys, are going to be stuff that's like a purchase price under $450,000 that you're putting in cosmetics where you're not adding bedrooms and bathrooms. Maybe you're adding like a powder room or something simple, but you're not reconstructing the whole house.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually going to have like a value of around like 600 in that range.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to make a steady return on it. But the reason it's low risk is a lot of times you can also refinance those just in case something goes wrong and keep them as a rental for a little bit and then sell them later.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case, right?
Right.
So it's a low price point that you can always keep. And then you want to stick for more like for like renovations. It's not the ones that look really gross. It's the ones you have to add bathrooms in, move bedrooms around, open walls. Those are the actual more complex ones.
Right.
And so I would say try to stick like for like. Like if you got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, find it, just update it the way it is.
Right.
Less reconfiguration. Reconfiguration is where the hard work is.
Fair enough. Yeah. Makes sense.
All right, now that we covered fix and flip, I'll kind of get through this real quick. So other things that we do, we have our long-term wealth department because we do encourage people to keep their properties as well, right? In 2008, we had to flip our way out of the badness. And then it was like, okay, we were making money. And then, but the one thing is we had got wrecked in 2008, so we don't have a lot of money in the bank. We were using it to keep flipping properties. But flipping has always kept us going. It funds a lot of different ventures for us. But what it really did for us back in 2008 is we were making money and then we would take 25% of every flip and go buy a rental house. And what ended up happening is we acquired like about 14 rental properties that all had extra zoning on them. They were cheap and we started 1031 them. And we took those 12 properties and we turned them into over 300 doors. And so if we would not have been keeping them, I would just be flipping, trying to make money right now, right? But now we're up to almost $1,000 or 1,000 properties in our portfolio that kicks out 60, 70 grand a month in cash flow after all expenses. And so it's about reinvesting that money. Don't spend your flip money, reinvest it. But I don't think I took a check out of our flipping business for 4 or 5 years when I first started. It was all about, all right, put it back into another flip, buy a rental, back into another flip, and just keep growing. So our long-term wealth department works with investors that are trying to keep properties, build out the portfolio. The things we sell, obviously single-family homes, a lot of burr properties, or if you don't want to do all the work and you just want to get like just a secure rental, hedge against inflation. A lot of people are doing it. They're getting out the stock market because they don't like it right now. They just want a steady return. And so we sell single families from burr properties to just straight rentals. We sell multifamily value add, anywhere between 2 units all the way up to the biggest one we closed recently in the last 6 months was 80. So we do all different types of sizes. We do rooming houses. Me and Will own a ton of rooming houses in Seattle, right next to UW, West Seattle. Those work really, really well for cash flow. We do sell some commercial properties. Typically, it's going to be more office space, not warehouse and industrial, because we do own some of it. We can't do vacation rentals. So, Katie, if you want another one. And then also, if you want to invest with us, it's syndication. For people that don't want to buy property, they don't want to do the property management, you can't invest in one of our apartment deals. You have to be accredited. So why holdings versus flipping? Well, the first thing is you save taxes immediately. When I flip a property, I get taxed at 40%. So every dollar I make, 40 cents is going away. But if I keep that property for a year and a day, it's 25%. So that's the first advantage. You can work smart. The other things you're going to get is like depreciation, cost segregation. As you buy apartment buildings, you can start doing. Does everyone know what cost segregation is? Okay, so it's an accelerated depreciation schedule. So it breaks down every little piece of material in your building and allows you to. And so on high income years, you can depreciate faster, offset your bracket, and drive your bracket in. So people use it as like a chess game. They're like, I got to really, like a broker, if you were crushing a year and you're making way too much commissions, well, there's never way too much, but making a lot of commissions, you would want to go buy an apartment building because by the time you cost seg it down, the money you're getting back on your tax return is usually half the down payment of what you're putting in. And now you own a building rather than give it the IRS. So a great way for tax benefits. It's a great hedge against inflation. You get passive income and getting to where we all want to do, and that's make money without having to work really hard.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Just a question. Do you guys also tell us that this deal is good for fix and flip and not for buy and hold, or for that matter for any other type of?
Yes, we definitely will. And that's what our sales team will do too. Like you call and say, hey, I want to do this with this. We're going to give you. We don't think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Now, granted, you have told people it's not a good idea, and they do it anyways.
Right.
And actually, they've shown us
That it has.
that it worked. I was like, hey, that's probably a good call, or sometimes not, right?
Yeah.
So we'll always give you our 2 cents on it, though.
And just like for 1031, you mentioned you have to hold it for 1 year, 1 day, or something
Yeah.
on those lines. In that case, do you also mention that this is a good deal for 1031 or not?
Yes, we will always talk about that because a lot of the 1031 deals that you're going for a year and a day,
Yeah.
I do these all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I do not do them for cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm targeting high equity rental properties that usually are going to break even at best. Because I don't care about the cash flow for a year because most of the time I'm renovating it for the first 9 months anyways.
Right.
So I'm getting it renovated for 9 months. I already got that debt cost I was gonna make any money on anyways. Then I get stabilized and it gets to break it even, but then I have all this equity in the property.
Right.
Well, I don't wanna break even. So then I 1031 it out. So for my 1031s that I'm targeting for that, I care nothing about cash flow.
Okay.
It's all about equity.
Okay.
Because I already know I'm gonna trade that out. So you're timing this right. So I just sold a property in Queen Anne. I did not want this property. I did not want to keep it. I did not want it in my portfolio, but it had a purpose. It was a duplex that no one in the whole city would buy. It was 380 grand. It was super cheap, and it was falling down a hill. And that's complex. And so I went in, I renovated this thing for 16 months, put 150 grand into it, and then I just sold it for 800 grand. And it was on a bad street. I got vandalism all the time, but it was in a right location with a lot of equity, and I was cash flowing. That one was actually cash flowing fairly well. But the whole purpose was I just sold it for 800, and now I have this building that I bought. I only probably collected cash flow for 5-6 months on it, and now I'm trading it for a duplex in Bellevue, which is a great thing to own. But if I wanted to buy that duplex in Bellevue, I was going to have to come up with 350, 400 grand just to buy it to break even because it's an expensive market.
Yeah.
So I'd rather buy a piece of crap property, get it fixed up, use the equity, and then get into the market I want to be.
Okay.
I look at those as those are B markets that I can get into A markets with no more money in.
Okay.
And so and that's where we want to sit down with you and go over your strategy. Is it to grow doors or is it to grow cash flow? Based on those things, we're going to kind of direct you on what markets to be in.
Mhm.
So, but it makes a huge difference. I mean, that's how we got our portfolios big. 1031 is the best. It is the best instrument to grow. So, additional specialties and resources. 1031 exchanges. We have very good background in it. We have a couple different exchangers that we can get you set up with. One's at attorneys, a little bit cheaper. One's at Fidelity National Title. We can get the whole thing set up for you. Also, if you have a self-directed 401k, we know how to get that working for you if you want. We do that. It's a great way, again, to grow tax-free. We lend money out of our 401k. We flip houses out of our 401k. We build houses out of our 401k. We do JV deals. All tax-free. It grows very quickly if you do it right. Opportunity zones, and then in addition to, we have an off-market real estate company called Buck Buys Houses. We are calling, mailing, pounding the phones all the time. We have a huge database of off-market sellers that gave us counter offers that we know what they'll sell for. We didn't want to quite contract them, but if you're looking for a specific type of rental, we might have it in that already. Because sometimes if someone calls us with a rooming house, we're like, we need it a little bit cheaper, but then someone has a son going to or daughter going to University of Washington, they might want that anyways. We might have that in our inventory, and they're getting like a 10% discount instead of 20, but we can get you to it. So off-market opportunities. In addition to selling rental properties, we have a really good understanding of leverage, setting your deal up to where you don't have to leave as much money in there, whether it's getting set up in the first, second, getting you pre-qualified. And then, this is no longer discounted referrals. We never really wanted to do property management. We always got the price down. We'll refer them out to people we knew really well, but our clients kept asking. So we do offer property management now for our clients only. We're doing about 100, 150 doors just with our clients right now. It's not that bad. It's a 7% rate. It was at 5%, but inflation killed us. Labor costs. So it's a 7%. It's still quite a bit cheaper than market. So our job, we run this more, guys, so you guys can be efficient as landlords. And we want to trade you into a building down the road anyways. So it's really to help you guys out. Not a big thing. That's why we keep the costs so low for you. More making you good as investors. So here's our team that we kind of work with, or not kind of work with, this is our team. So if you're looking for buy and hold, we have a bunch of new brokers that are going to be working with people on just single family, walking them through properties, if they're looking for specific. But then Jennifer Hafner is our multifamily specialist and our 1031 exchange specialist. She's also part owner in our property management company. She worked with us for 4 years. She knows everything about multi. If you're looking, we're going to track that deal down for you. She is an absolute beast. I'll get you that deal. So she'll make you taken care of. Our short-term financing partners, interest funding, that's to get it taken down. If you're buying value add, increase the value. Our 1031 exchange partners, Kyle Williams. And then we have Jason Zing at On Q Financial is one of the mortgage brokers we work with. We have 3 others too. We're always going to get you paired up with all of them. We want you to work with the one you like, and then that understands your product. But again, we make 0 referrals on this. It's just to get you guys the cheapest origination points, and then also the guys that will get the loan done. So why do you want to keep these properties? So average rents, 2022, King County was up 20%, Pierre County was up 22%, and Snohomish County was up 21%, not 51%. And so they're growing. And everyone was predicting that rents were going to start snapping backwards. They're not. They're still consistently growing. The only sectors I'm seeing issues on are the high-end luxury. Luckily, we don't buy that stuff. It's like that top end. But all of our normal South King County, Snohomish County, core Seattle, is still growing because it's still really affordable against the cost of a mortgage. If you want to rent a house or rent a condo in Federal Way, you're $2,200, $2,000 a month. To own it, it's $3,000. So there's still some growth there. And then one thing we liked to also point out, because the last 3 years have been totally bogus on appreciation, that's not normal. The average appreciation rate, and this is important as you're looking at buy and hold, is 3.5%. So when we're looking at a buy and hold property for you guys, we're going to forecast this out on like that 3, 5, and 10 year basis. We use a 3.5% appreciation rate over that time because that's going to show you your true return. The rates we've been seeing are not realistic. So what's our process if you want to get going on buy and hold? First thing, if you want to buy something, we're going to set up a one-on-one strategy meeting. You're going to come in. We want to find out what your buy box is, what's your goal, what kind of return are you looking to do, what kind of projects, and we're going to get looking. In addition to, if you own any rental properties, if you want, we'll look at those properties, look at your equity position, and let you know whether we think you should keep it or sell it and trade it into something better. Most of the time, guys, we're going to be able to trade it for something that's going to double your return. And then we're going to put together a 5-year or 10-year action plan for you, get you pre-qualified, and start looking for properties for you at that point. If you want to do a disposition or a 1031 exchange, we're going to meet with you again, do a one-on-one meeting. We're going to look at your portfolio. We're going to figure out how to upgrade it. We're going to put together the plan. We're going to get your 1031 set up. Then we're going to list the property, locate the new investment, or increase your annual cash return. Many times, guys, we flip this because there's something called a reverse 1031 exchange too that's very handy. You can go shopping and find yourself a screaming good buy first, close on it with hard money, then sell your property, backfill it in, so you don't have to worry about replacing it. You get the good buy first, then sell it back in. So it's a way for you to get a better deal at that point. Because the one thing that sucks about 1031, you got this clock, and it doesn't give you the time to really try to find that next big up leg. So it is kind of quick.
Sorry, quick question. Can you 1031 into a property that's not financeable, or does it have to be like bank financeable?
You just have to take the same amount of debt out.
Okay.
And so a hard money loan works.
Got it.
That's actually the best thing you guys can do if you want to grow. Buy a dilapidated, it doesn't need, people chase like the multis. Like, I want to build multis. That is such a pipe dream to grow fast. It's a great thing to own, but if you're limited on capital, the best thing you can buy is a Burr single family house with a lot of equity in it. Get it stabilized, take it, then trade it for more doors. And so what we've done is we just have deferred cash flow for a good 7-8 years. We get them stabilized, we get them leased, we sell them, we go buy another totally under market property, get it stabilized again. So most of the time we have to use hard money on those anyways. So you just have to have the same amount of debt. So if you have $500,000 on this building, you got to take a loan out for the same amount or greater. That is the point. And then you have to buy same pricing too. So if you're selling for $800, I have to either buy $800 or above. So I sold my duplex for $800. I'm actually buying a duplex for $1.1.
And then if you had 500 owed on that first one, you have to at least take out 500 for the next one.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's always like a sweet spot in there too, guys. The best thing you can do in 1031, I broke my own rules just because I'm going to use this property for a little bit different purpose too. If you want to grow fastest, trade like for life on dollar notes. So like if you're selling it for 800, try to find something that you're into it for 800 because you don't have to put more cash in the deal. Because if you're buying something more, typically you might have to feed a little bit more cash in. And you want to keep that cash as gunpowder to keep growing. And if you're just using equity, it's just straight growth. So that's a little tip for sure. So there's 2 different types of rental programs, and we're almost done. That Intrust is going to come talk about hard money real quick. We have a traditional and a value add approach. So the traditional approach is gonna be using existing financial metrics. So you guys are looking for a rental property, or looking for something with a light term. It might need carpet, might need paint, might need appliances. You're typically gonna get like a 10% discount on that property, but it's easy. You buy it, you clean it up, and you're getting rent income within 2 to 4 weeks at that point. And you can also get a conventional lender because it's not that beat up. That's also why the pricing is not as discounted. So there is benefits to that. The big benefit, again, on the traditional is some people just want cash flow. Birds aren't great for cash flow, you guys. Not in the beginning. You don't get money. You actually feed them for 6 to 12 months, and then you get your cash flow. Whereas this gets it going right away. So it kind of depends on what you're trying to accomplish. The value add approach is your burner style properties. We're sourcing under market value. It's a 2-step loan. We're going to get you lined up with a construction loan. You're going to come in, you're going to buy it, renovate the whole thing, and then refinance it into a new loan, get most of your capital back, and then start buying again. And so it kind of depends on what your approach is. You know, a lot of our tech clients, they have stock options sitting on cash. They want the traditional. They have their job. They just want to get into real estate. They're getting a little bit of a discount. The guys with less capital are always going towards the perm, right? Because they got 50 grand, they got 100 grand that they need to keep doing flips too. So they're going for those heavy value add because they can lever it up. So, and if you come in for your one-on-ones, we'll kind of go over those kind of options and the pros and cons. And if you don't want to do any of them, you can invest with us. I'll just touch on this real quick. So if you want to invest in any of our projects, guys, we do multifamily, Kingstone, Pierce, and then we do a little bit of stuff in our large townhome sites. Sometimes we let people invest in them. So how it works, you got to be an accredited investor. It is true passive income. We're finding the deal, we're funding it, we're running it, releasing it. You're going to get a preferred return. And then usually typically on a 3 to 5 year period, we're refinancing you back out your cash, or we're selling at that point, and we're targeting typically a 16 to 17% IRR by the end of your deal. The good thing about syndications, it gives you passive income, gives you a pref return, you know what your target IRR is, you can work into your financial goals. This is my favorite thing about it. It gives me bonus depreciation. I invest in our own syndication deals at the end of the year if I'm trying to get my tax basis down. Like right before the end of this last year, I threw a chunk of money into a couple of our deals just to get the depreciation. I was like, well, do I want to pay the IRS or do I want to own part of the building? And so that really helped. That probably saved me about 240 grand in taxes in the year just by doing that.
Are you doing cost seg studies on those?
Yeah, so they all get cost seg. Not every project will always let you know if we are. These ones were prime for it. And so I was like, yeah, I want to do those too. It was in federal way never. I just last minute. And you guys, I'm an active investor. Like I can go buy stuff, fix it myself. I don't need to make a 15% IRR. I can probably do better. But it was about that tax benefit that I was getting towards the end of the year. It's like, I'd rather keep the money than give it away. So, all right, we're gonna walk through a quick little deal and then we'll get on to Intrust. This is a very typical single family house that we'd be selling as a rental property. And this is great for a first time investment too. So this is a property we just sold not that long ago, probably 120 days ago. What it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house built in 1943. It was on a 9,000 square foot lot. That's why we like this deal so much. You can put in some DADUs or ADUs down the road on it. 700 square feet, just small cosmetic fixer. The roof was already like that way. So why did we pitch this as a rental? The flip overview was the client could buy this for 350 grand. And 350 grand, you guys, is a good buy in this area. Like you just hear that and you think it's a buy. Problem is, if you try to flip it, look what happens. 350, you put in 65, it would then be worth 499. The estimated profit after all costs was only going to be $10,000 to $15,000 when you're done flipping it, holding it, doing those things. Cash invested with 20% down on a construction loan was going to be $83,000. That's a 12.5% return deal with leverage. That's a no buy for us for someone to flip. Even though a lot of investors would buy that to try to flip it, not a good idea. But so instead of kicking the deal, we looked at it another way. Well, at 350, instead of putting 65,000, which was going to require to go to a 2-bed, 2-bath, we said just keep the bathrooms, clean it up real quick, put 35 in, and then we had comps at 475. So there wasn't that much variance between the 1 and 2-bath. That was part of the reason it wasn't flipping that well. And the biggest bonus out of looking at this as an equity, this is a year and a day flip, by the way. Perfect for this. You were going to pick up $100,000 in equity on this property by the time you're all stabilized, right? 350, 35, well, no, 90K in equity. And on surface, a lot of people kind of blew past this deal, and there's a couple reasons why. Well, not because of the condition, it wasn't that shape. So just like our fix and flip, you're gonna get full photos. There's a nice big back lot, it's got access, good for a long-term play. Not that bad shape at all. Pretty close to rent ready. How we pulled the rent comps, we're gonna do a little bit more just to get the higher price on it. So that's what it's in 35, but not a bad place. So what we saw though at that purchase price, let's look at that. So we knew it was cheap, 350. We knew it had a good $100,000 equity position, but we also know that a lender is only gonna lend you 70% on this loan to value. So you're gonna have to leave some money in this deal to keep this one for a little bit, okay? And a lot of people lock up on that, and I get it. Sometimes you don't want to leave money in a deal, and if that's the time of your life, then move on to the next deal. But slow down and look at the core math of why it makes sense to leave money in a deal like this right now. So estimated rent was at $28.50, and we'll go over the concept of both of those. At a 70% loan to value, so the 475 times 70% minus fixed up buy price, that was going to require us to leave $72,000 in this deal. The cash flow on this is $140 a month after debt service, and we'll go over that. That is a garbage cash on cash return. It's not good. You know, you're going to make roughly 4% of your money. Not something I typically like to buy. Cash on cash return was going to be actually around 1%, and then the equity position was going to be $75,000 to $100,000. Then it goes into kind of our spreadsheet, kind of breaking this down for you guys. This breaks down the 350, the rehab, and then the value. The most important thing, you guys, this looks really complex, but it's just to kind of show you broken down if you want to really go into. When I'm looking at these deals again, I'm going, okay, what's the math? Here's my rents. This is going to back out all my expenses to calculate my cash flow. This is queued off of the monthly payment that's in here. So on this deal, when we did it, we factored in 8% rate on this. So we are building in the high rates when we're looking at these things. So at an 8% rate, it was still going to be $133 a month. It's also going to tell me where the $72,000 is going to be left in here. So as an investor, I'm going, okay, I'm going to leave $72,000. It's going to give me a 1% return. Not great. $133 a month in cash flow. So let's look at this a little bit further. And I'm always going to look at it a little deeper. I'm going to look at rents, the first thing. Can I get rents up? We couldn't. Here was our rent comps. So how we pull rent comps when we send you guys properties is going to be two ways. Rentometer as a back reference, and then we're going to use the Northwest MLS because those are actually the best comps there. And then we're going to blend them together. So we had Rentometer was telling us that the median was 26, and then the high was at 29.45. We had 28. But then when we pulled our rental comps, the beautiful thing is we had a broker in our office rent hers for $2,900. So we felt really good about our rent comps at that point. Then we had another rent comp at $2,400 that wasn't fixed up. This one was fixed up. So that's how we came up with our $35,000 budget. Get a little bit nicer, get the higher rent. So maximizing this though. So again, this property made 30. If you look at this quick, you want to blow right through it. But it was making $135 a month at 8% interest, 1% cash on cash return. Who thinks that rates are going to come down in the next 12 to 18 months? So you guys, this should be down in the high fives by the fourth quarter. That's what they're really predicting. And I actually think it's kind of, they built in so much into the pricing already, it's starting to back down a little bit. So
refinancings are always going to be 0.25% or so higher, right?
You're half point if you're pulling out cash.
Right.
If it's a rate and term, not anymore. Your investor rate will. But I do think that investor rates should be in the high fives by then. But I was thinking, how I look at every one of these is I run it on a 2-year deal. If I'm going to buy this, keep it for 2 years, this is where I think it's going to be. Because this is an equity gaining property. So if I buy this property at $135 a month and I'm at an 8% rate, if my rate goes to 5.5%, which is a 1.25 more than I was getting 14 months ago, the cash flow goes from $135 to $650 a month. And then also my return of 1% turns into 10% right there. If it goes to 5, it goes to 750, it goes to 11.5%. If it goes at 4.25, back to where we were 14 months ago, we're now at a 12.5% deal for cosmetic. Reason this is, I consider these deals, I think they're really good buys, is because for me to get a 10 to 12% cash on cash return 18 months ago, I was gonna have to buy the duplex falling down the hill in Queen Anne. So now all I gotta do is buy and sit on it, wait for rates to fall. But you wanna pick the right one. The right one, and this is why this is the right one. Oh, let me recapture that. I'm picking up $100,000 in equity on this property. That's not included in my 10% return. I have a lot that's 9,000 square feet that I can put 2 dadoos on the back if I want in the future. So I'm getting a property with equity. It's got development upside for an extra kicker later down the road. And if I wait 2 years, my return goes to 10% cash on cash return. If someone told me, hey, look, James, if you buy this property and in 14 months, you're gonna pick up $100,000 in equity, a 12% return, and you can build stuff on it later, I'm gonna buy that deal no matter what. But we all put our glasses on going like, oh, that's not good buy, we're moving right by. So just slow down. So that's what we're always doing, is dissecting and looking at the whole plan. Now, if this did not have the equity position I was talking about, not of interest to me. But at a year and a day, I'm not even gonna look at the cash flow, because I'm gonna sell that, I'm gonna take $100,000 in gain on that, and I'm gonna go trade that 2-bedroom, 1-bath property, I'm gonna go trade it for 4. And I went from having 700 rentable square feet into 3,000 rentable square feet. And that's where my cash goes from 1 to like 15%. And so it's about the strategy behind what you're buying. So if you're looking for rentals, focus on properties that have upside in the lots, they have some equity. Don't worry about the cash flow today on the rates. The rates are not gonna go up past 8-9%. Now, unless something really bad happens. They should start coming down. So it's all upside in the deals. So really factor at those. Other deals that we sold as rentals recently, we had a 4-plex in Seattle, we sold for $800. There was a 10% cash on cash return, but they had to leave $310 in the deal. We had 2 4-units that were sold as one deal for $1.96 million, was a 12% cash on cash return, we had $496 in that deal. And then we had a really good buy on a awful duplex we got for $462,000. It was a 16% cash on cash return, and less $73,000 in that deal. That was a great buy. Kind of kicking myself, I didn't take that one. There's a little average. Actually, you guys, this is so out of date. Your savings accounts are paying you good money now, 4%, not half. But you guys, what we target for all of our investors on fix and flip is 30 to 55% return for you guys.
Over a 5-year? Oh, just fix and flip.
Fix and flip, yeah. Rentals, it kind of depends on what you're looking for and what your appetite is. Our forecast is going to look a lot different in Bellevue than it would down in like Lakewood. And so depending on what you're chasing, we're going to tell you which market to be in, and then we'll explain why. So next steps, Intrust is going to come up, talk about hard money real quick, and then you want to complete the survey. You're going to get a phone call from our concierge. We're going to schedule you in for a one-on-one, get you pre-qualified, and get you looking for an investment. More free education, you guys, if you want that. If you go to Heaton Dainard, newer investors, HeatonDainard.com, go in the blog section. There's a 4-part series on construction management. Listen to it. It's going to break down every little process in construction and will help. It's going to be very, very beneficial. Or check us out on social media. We're constantly putting out free education for you guys, how to do things, little tips from there. That's that 4-part series I was talking about. All right. Well, right now, you guys, Intrust is going to come up, talk about hard money real quick, and then we'll come in and we will hang out with you guys to answer any questions.
Did you move those back up?
No.
That'd be a good thing.
Yeah, lock this deal up.
I'm Kyle. I am with Intrust Funding. I'm just going to quickly go through a little bit about what we do for hard money. I guess how to get set up, pre-qualified with us, a couple of advantages, things we do, and then just answer a couple questions, and then we'll introduce everybody else. Anybody have any questions on hard money? Has anybody used hard money before? Yeah, locally or?
In Portland.
I have an issue here. Well, somehow my slides are not here. this is for a separate class I teach, but it's almost the same slide, so we'll just switch to this. Sorry about that.
Do you want me to ask Alan if you can find it?
I mean, this should work, I think. We'll wing it a little bit. All right. So you've seen a lot of this before. Will runs Intrust. Again, James is there too. We have a third principal investor who is Mark. We have our team, sales, marketing, operations, accounting. A little bit about hard money. So for those of you who don't know, hard money is a commercial loan. Not meaning you have to buy a commercial building, but it can be used for consumer purposes. So you can't be buying anything with hard money that you're going to occupy yourself or have as a primary residence or a secondary residence. So pretty much you're using it for something you're trying to buy, add value to, so fix and flip or like a buy and hold. People use hard money for a lot of reasons. Biggest thing I talk about is how quick it is. We can close a loan as little as 48 hours. So it's going to put you up in the same realm as like a cash buyer. We don't require any appraisals. That really expedites the process. The biggest thing I kind of, for those who don't understand it, is hard money. We are focused on the future value of the property. Meaning, if you were to buy a property that's a fix and flip or a buy and hold, you might be able to take some properties to your local bank or get conventional financing. The problem is they're going to evaluate the property for what it's worth today. They're going to need an appraisal. Where we're not worried about what it's worth today. We're looking at the after repair value. So we're always analyzing deals for the future value. We'll find deals all the way throughout Washington State. We are the sister company for Heaton Dainard, so all these deals that you guys will be getting from them, we've already looked at and approved. But you as investors can bring us deals yourself, and we will fund those. So we're just not solely working only with Heaton Dainard. A couple different things about us. You kind of know the background of Will and James. We underwrite everything in-house. We do everything in-house. We don't rely on any systems, CRMs, data analytics to underwrite our properties. So we're using our actual real experience. So we're using our underwriter who has 30 years experience, Will to look at everything, James to look at everything. Was your company, is it working like a local company, or do they broker your loan? Do you know?
I used Riverbend and
Okay, so those kind of fit into that almost broker type. So what you see a lot in the hard money world is a company will do the loan for you and they're going to turn around and sell that loan off to a larger institution, typically a bank or a hedge fund. They're going to require a lot more red boxes. Did you have to go through kind of a thorough application? Or?
Yeah, it was a pain in the ass.
Okay. They have to do an appraisal too and everything?
Not after I got to a certain level of experience.
Okay.
But
because realistically, what those companies have to do is they have to meet the criteria to sell that loan off. So Intrust doesn't sell any loans. So we're basically using our own guidelines to be able to underwrite these properties and do the loans. So very, very simple. We have no application. We have two steps. There's pre-qualifying you and pre-qualifying the property. Again, if you're buying a Heaton Dainard property, all this is already done for you. To get pre-qualified with us, we need to know who wants to be on the loan. So basic contact information. That would be your name, your mailing address, your email, and a phone number. We have to verify the liquidity. We don't ask for W-2s, pay stubs, tax returns, what you even do for work. We're looking, do you have the liquidity that works for the said project that you're looking to do? So we would like to see a bank statement. It can be a brokerage account. It can be if you have a self-directed IRA. We're basically verifying the funds. We don't have to have a full bank statement. We just need to see your name and the balance. A lot of people say if you're partnering up or you have an LLC, the money does not even have to be in one account. You can kind of show 3 different statements. So it's a very, very simple process to get pre-qualified. The last thing is a credit report. We're not looking at your debt to income ratio. We're not looking at how many trade lines you have open, any of that. We're verifying your credit score and your name. So most people send us like a screenshot of their score and their name like you get from their credit card company. That's sufficient enough to be pre-qualified with us. Once that's done, if you have a property you want to make an offer on, you can send me a text, call me 7 days a week. I will look at that property and get you a pre-approval letter to go in with your offer. Does that kind of make sense why you want to get pre-approved? So anytime you're submitting an offer, typically you're going to want to have a lender letter with it. I mean, you can write an offer that's going to be all cash, but some people might make you verify that you have the liquidity for that. So this letter is it's gonna be unconditional approval, no appraisal required to close in as little as 3 business days. So it's a very aggressive offer. Now, if you want to send in a property for us to look at, we don't require an appraisal or a BPO. We need to have 15 pictures of what this place looks like as is. So it'd be 2 or 3 of the exterior and the rest of the interior. We need to have a scope of work. That's basically a budget, like you guys have been looking at, basically line items of what you're going to be doing to rehab the project. Some people in the beginning might not even know what that is. They might say, Kyle, here's a property, I want to offer $400,000. I'm thinking it's going to cost me $75,000. That's okay in the beginning, but to do a loan, we have to have a scope of work on the file. And then we kind of go over the desired loan term. So we do loan terms up to 1 year. Hard money is short. You want to be in and out. It is an interest-only loan. So you are basically, if you're borrowing $500,000, you owe $500,000 at the end. None of your payments going towards the principal. So you're using it for true leverage type points. So we kind of have the 4 steps here. You pre-qualify yourself. So if you're looking for Heaton Dainard deals, you just pre-qualify yourself. We keep that on file. You find the deal. I just talk to you about the different terms, which I'll go over in the different loan products. You're done. If you need to submit stuff to us, there's a few other steps. This is something what we will do. This is basically what we provide after underwriting. It probably looks very similar to what you guys have been seeing today. It's basically going to be a flip count, the comps that we're seeing, the property details, the tax records. Anytime you can send us a property, whether you have it under contract or not, there's no obligation to work with us, just to get our thoughts on it. We say, hey, I'm looking at this property. What ARV do you guys see? What comps are out there? So I can make an educational decision on, okay, it's worth $850 on the ARV and it's listed for $450. How much can I pay within the rehab to put that deal together? So anytime you guys can look at that to us to do that for you. Assignment fees. Anybody ever work with wholesalers or look to buy off-market deals? Okay. So one of the biggest things we see with a lot of hard money lenders right now is they have caps on assignment fees. Meaning that they will look at how much the assignment fee is versus the purchase price. If it's over a certain percentage, they won't fund it. So does everyone here know what an assignment fee is? You do? Okay. So basically, we have no problem with it. We will fund 100% of the assignment fee into the deal. The wholesaler will be paid at closing, as long as the number that they are requesting works within our deal. I have one 2.5 weeks ago that was $175,000. James has paid $150,000 to $300,000 assignment fees for deals. So again, a lot of companies won't handle that, but we see it all the time. So we offer 2 loans. Keep it very, very simple. We have a standard loan, which is your acquisition only, and we have a rehab loan. So you guys have been looking at all those performers where it probably said standard loans in the far left, the rehab loans in the middle, the cash was to the right. Standard loan not used as much anymore. That means that you're buying a property, we're going to help with it minus your down payment. You as the investor are going to pay for rehab out of your pocket. Some people do this if they're leveraging cash. They might be sitting on a lot of cash and they don't want to deploy it all into a deal. They want to increase their cash on cash return. Some people, a lot of my investors are contractors themselves, so they're not paying for labor, they're just paying for materials, so they like to pay for it out of pocket. Some people just like to do it that way. The most popular one is a rehab loan, where we combine your purchase price and the amount you want to borrow, 100% of the rehab all into one loan. And then we'll finance 100% of that rehab back to you. The interest rate, always with us, is 1% per month. The loan fees range from 2 to 4 points. We have no prepayment penalty, meaning that if you did a 6-month loan with us and you paid it off in 4 months, there's no penalty. Any questions on those? Okay. So everyone always wants to know what our down payment is. So our down payment ranges. Typically, our lowest down payment in Western Washington is 15%. We don't do any 10% lending, we never have. We've found over the last few years, the companies that were 10% down, a lot of those aren't lending anymore. The problem is the market came way down, people were upside down on a lot of their loans. We have always determined that investors having a little bit more skin in the game keeps them, really wanting to finish the project. So the range on Western Washington is 15 to 20%. Eastern Washington, we do start at 20 to 25%. The way that is determined is after underwriting. We will lend up to 70% of the after repair value with those minimum down payments. So it has nothing to do with you've done 100 flips or one flip or your credit rating. It truly comes down to what the margins of the deal are. A tighter margin deal might need a little bit more down. One that's a really big deal, as far as margins, might need less down. Now, one time, there are some situations that we will ask for higher down payments. I'll give you an example. I have a lot of clients that buy turnkey properties, Airbnb, things like that. If the property does not need any work and you're buying almost a turnkey property, the down payment from a hard money lender is going to be substantially higher than a property that looks like it's falling apart and is stressed. The reason is there's no value add situation there. If you're buying a house that you paid $500,000 for, you might be putting a little bit of cosmetic work into it before you put a renter or Airbnb in there. That's not going to increase the value of the property anymore. Compared to if you're buying a house for $350,000, putting $100,000 into it, it might be worth $475,000. So you have to stay within that 70% rule for the down payment. And there's a lot of people that use us, especially in this market right now. I have probably today written 15 pre-approval letters, 4 on the same house, different clients. What we're finding, I mean, there's limited inventory out there, and the good houses are having bidding wars for these type of investment properties. So one thing I say is, if you're pre-approved, all it is a text of a phone number and your offer amount, address and your offer amount, and I'll have that to you, compared to someone brand new saying, I gotta dig up my bank statement, I gotta get you all that. So being pre-qualified just increases how quickly I can get you a pre-approval letter. But kind of what I was saying is, we're seeing so many offers on a lot of stuff that some of these properties can be bought conventionally in some situations. But if, as a seller, if I'm selling a property and someone comes in with a great offer, maybe even over list price, but with a 30-day to 45-day close from their bank, and someone comes in with a hard money offer that they can close in 2 to 3 days, they're probably going to go with that. I mean, it always depends on what the seller's needs are, but hence the reason that I have a lot of people buying turnkey stuff that they're going to take down with hard money and maybe refi right back out, just to make sure that they're securing a deal right now. So one thing we do, I like to just talk about our advantages, and a lot of people don't look at it this way. So we combine all of our fees into our loan, meaning that if I say you're putting 15% down or 20% down, that's the money you're putting down at escrow towards the down payment of your house. None of that money goes to interest. All the fees that we charge as a hard money lender, our origination fees and our loan fee, we don't charge out of pocket. So if you're ever looking around talking to other companies, ask them about their fees, because they can simply be also charging 15% down or 20% down, and then they're going to charge their origination fee on top. So let me give you an example. There's a $400,000 purchase. The customer wants to borrow $125,000 for rehab, so it's a $525,000 loan. For simple math, I put 20% on here. 20% is $105,000, so it makes it a $420,000 loan. We charge 2 points origination, so 2% of $420,000 is $8,400. So rather than you having to pay that $8,400 on top of the down payment, we're simply adding that to your loan amount. So does that make sense, everybody? Simple things a lot of people don't look into. They're always like, oh, it's the cheapest way to get into a deal. It's the cheapest way to get a deal. I've had people call me back later and they're like, I went with a 10% down lender, but I actually ended up putting more money out of my pocket to close than you guys had offered. In this situation, whatever down payment we're telling you is going to your equity position in your house. So somebody else, you might be putting 15% down and the other 5% is going into their pocket right away. So this is good. We're trying to do the least amount of pocket out for you. Now, again, this does not include title and escrow and property insurance. I always point that out to investors because they're like, okay, the down payment's $105,000, the monthly payment's $4,000, I have $130,000. I always want people to know there are other costs out there to close the real estate transaction.
One quick question.
Yeah.
The interest rate, do you charge that on the entire amount or do you charge it based on draws?
Is charging the entire amount? It's a great question. There are a couple situations with some of these data plays that we've done things differently. Meaning, like, there was a Heaton Dainard deal recently that was a purchase, rehab, but then they were gonna build a dadu in the back, condominiumizing it, where we weren't gonna charge an interest on the dadu portion until they touched it. There are some case by case, but 99.9% we're charging interest from day one on everything that you're borrowing. So the way our draws work, so in the world of hard money, when you borrow rehab funds from a company, it's given to you in draws or disbursements. Basically, a company is giving you money as you progress through the scope of work and increase the value of the house. The unique thing about us, and people have copied us over the years, but I don't think anybody's doing it right now, is we advance the first draw at closing. So let's just say you have $125,000 budget. We will give you $25,000 a day after the loan closes to start the project. So one thing that does is it offsets your down payment. You just put $100,000 down to escrow. We're giving you 20 to 30 grand back the next day to start the project before you've done any work. So most lenders don't do that. Most lenders make you come probably the first 25%, 20% out of pocket, and then they reimburse you. And they typically require some sort of inspection to do that. So either you are having to hire a third-party inspector, you're going through their company and they make you pay for whatever third-party inspector that they work with. The problem with that is, just as you said, most of the time you're paying interest on everything from day one. The average turn time for someone to have a home inspection done and relay that information back to a lender and them to then reimburse you is a minimum 7 to 10 days. And typically most projects are about 4 to 5 draws, if not more. So right there, you're looking at 40 to 50 days of interest you're paying just waiting, not even utilizing that money on your project. So we try to streamline and make it very simple. We advance you the first draw at closing. We do not require any physical inspections. We won't drive your property. We won't make you pay someone to come out to your property. We give you a dedicated portfolio manager. He's been doing it 30 years. He sends you, it's basically like a Google Drive link. It's on our website. We have an app. When you're ready for your draw, you simply take it out. You're going to take 15 pictures of what the property looks like right now. In lieu of having inspection, you are sending us photo evidence of what work has been done. That can consist of a lot of different things. We have milestones of different projects that you can kind of baseline so you know where you have to be. But typically it's work being completed. So we gave you $25,000 in the first draw. Here's what I've done. This is what's been done. Here's the pictures of it. If you order materials, you can order materials and send a draw every day if you want. We'll reimburse you for it. So it's really up to as fast as you and your team can go compared to relying on someone coming out to do an inspection. Because I know a lot of people who have gone that route, and the problem is you might get someone out there and they might say, I'm sorry, you haven't done enough work. Call me back in 2 weeks, and then you're waiting again for that money and you're coming out of pocket. So we keep it very, very simple. 15 photos. It can be photo evidence. It can be materials. It can be invoices. There's a lot of different ways. It's all done with a human in the office here. There's no third parties. As long as the draw is submitted before 1 o'clock, it'll go out the same day. If not, it goes out the following day, except for weekends. Any questions on that?
So, sorry, going back. So, for permits and stuff, I'm just waiting around maybe a couple weeks to a month for permits. I'm still paying the interest at that point. If you're not waiting on permits and stuff.
I mean, it depends on some of the projects. I mean, some of it has some buffers put into it, but 99% of them are interest from day one.
Okay.
So this is just basically a quick example of what I was just talking about. So here's a 5-draw scenario. The minimum amount of draws we can do is 3. The max is, we've done 15 before. It's really up to you. But property closes, first draw is available. In this situation, you'd have to be about 32%. Second draw available, 48, 64, 80. The final draw is always held back until the property is complete. Doesn't have to be staged, doesn't have to have appliances, has to be basically complete. Sean, our portfolio manager, his job is to basically look at the rehab funds and make sure there's enough money to always finish the project. So I mean, there's a lot of contingencies in there. We've been doing this very, very long that we look at stuff and a lot of times we'll come back and say, here's a number we truly think it should be. This is typically on the non-Heaton Dainard deals. There's no way you're going to do this for 48,000. If we were to do it, it'd be 85. And we might say, we'll do 48, but any shortfalls, you need to make sure you're gonna cover yourself. Because once you start a project, you can't just add funds to that rehab account. That's gonna get you all the way through. So we try to be very diligent in making sure that we look through the budgets, and kind of help people at the same time. You know, a lot of times we can look at things on permit cost, timelines, to make sure that you're actually in the loan that makes sense. You know, everybody wants to be in the short term, pay the least amount of money, but we don't want you to be paying extensions or stuck in the loan. Well, this wasn't a normal presentation that I was gonna do, but you guys have looked at a fair amount of these tonight, so I'll just kind of quickly go through it again, but.
That one. It's this one. Thank you.
Oh, it's the other one.
This one.
It's actually both, because I.
You had that
Okay,
one.
all of them at this point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So let's run through one of these real quick and then we'll wrap up. So I know you guys have been looking at a lot of these. And the class I teach on the side is like really heavy on going through these because James is not teaching right before it. So this is just a recent example. This was a Heaton Dainard deal, sold recently. It was a 330 purchase, 125 rehab, 585 ARV, 6 months holding. It was 42.5% cash on cash using the rehab, standard loan 27, 17.5 cash on cash there. Basically, this shows the difference of, this is really what I always focus on, is the cash out pocket down here, making sure that you have enough money. This is always factoring whatever number is here is going to carry into your hard money mortgage payments there. So again, if it's a 9-month loan, if you can get it done quicker, all these costs are gonna come down. What we're really just showing at the same time is a leverage point. If you were to buy this deal in cash, you need $500,000, you'd make $80,000. It's a 17.5% return. It's a good return on this deal. But if you had $500,000, you could do this deal 3.5 times over with these types of numbers. It's only costing you $116,000 to make 50. So you could essentially make $150,000 plus by doing 3 of these rather than deploying all your cash into one deal. It's kind of a leverage point. I have a lot of cash buyers that come to me sometimes. They might pay cash for the deal and just borrow the rehab, or they might just put 50% down the whole cost, or sometimes they'll put 25% down. So I mean, everyone has different strategies on when to use hard money, when to leverage, and when not to use it. So try to be available to answer questions or anything like that.
So you do just rehab only loans as well?
So we don't do seconds. So the only time, like I had a guy today, one of my clients who bought a project in Tacoma, paid $230 cash for it, is waiting on the permits to come in. He's gonna, it's a big project, about $300,000 project. So he's gonna, do the loan probably next month. But we don't do any seconds. It's tough to find hard money seconds. Everybody wants to be in first position. So meaning that is that if you went out and you bought a property that didn't make sense to people. Like if you went out and bought a property or you owned a property already that's a rental and you want to fix it up and you have a mortgage on it, we're gonna have to pay off any existing needs. We have to be in first position. So most of the time it doesn't make sense. Maybe if you're getting ready to sell the property or 1031 exchange it into something, it might make sense. But you're not gonna find, it's very, very few and far between lenders out there that will go in second position hard money. We do cross collateral loans. I don't have it in this presentation. If you guys own a free and clear property that's in Washington, that's not your primary residence, you can use it in lieu of a down payment. So you go 0 down on a loan. So what we essentially do is we put a lien on your free and clear property. This becomes 0. So the monthly payment's gonna be higher, but you don't have to actually put a down payment in. As soon as you're done, either flipping the house or keeping it as a rental and you refinance and pay us off, the lien comes off, you can reuse that property over and over again. So a lot of investors that will use that. Again, your carrying costs are gonna be higher because there's not a physical cash dollar payment or down payment going in. And then we also do what is popular right now, talking 1031s, is reverse 1031. Pardon me. So I'll kind of finish on this. So in the world of, it's kind of a loophole, I guess. But basically a reverse 1031 exchange. So as James was talking about, you have 45 days to identify 3 properties you want to exchange your property into. And you have 180 days to sell that property. Right now, it's almost like a contingent offer because you're trying to find something and wait to sell your property and then stuff's selling. So you have to be a little bit liquid to do this, but I have a fair amount of investors, and you still have to use the exchange facilitator. Basically, you can come and do a hard money loan and buy whatever property you want to exchange it into. Say you've been driving around, you find the dream property, it's going to cash flow that you want. You can buy that with hard money right now, and then the exchange reverses. So you buy that with hard money, and then you have 180 days to sell your property and take it through the exchange. So you're taking all the risk out of having to identify those 3 properties, losing out, and then finding the property you want, like James ran around today doing. The difference is it's all handled by a 1031 facilitator. You can't legally own both properties at the same time. So they actually draw up LLC documents from like, I do a lot with IPX Fidelity. So they'll drop a baby LLC that holds the new property in, and once your other property sells and goes through the exchange, then you get the new property. But some investors are using that because right now it's tough to go under contract on the property you want when you're in such a rush to sell your own property. The reason why I say you have to be a little liquid is most investors want to take the equity from the property they're selling to buy the new one. But since we require a down payment, you're gonna have to be able to fund that new property and then pay off our loan when the equity comes through from the exchange. But it is something out there that you can utilize if you're a 1031 exchange company. Any questions? All right, I will bring everybody back in. Sorry about the slides there. I have no clue where my actual presentation
Yeah,
is.
thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.